Thank you, Madam President. I rise to address the motion to proceed that we're currently debating. Specifically, is a motion to proceed to a bill that would sustain the 3.4% interest rate on Stafford student loans. Now, earlier we had a vote to attempt to conclude the debate over whether we should get to the bill, and that has to have a supermajority of 60 under the rules of the Senate, and we didn't have that supermajority. My colleagues across the aisle voted against debating whether or not to sustain the 3.4% on student loans. Or to put it differently, they voted to block this effort and preserve 6.8% as the rate that we'll go to shortly if we don't address this legislation. Now, I can tell you that I think students at every institution in Oregon would be appalled that the U.S. Senate isn't willing to hold a debate over the doubling of the cost of student loans. This has a tremendously powerful impact on the affordability of education across America. We are at that point in the history of the world where our nations are interconnected. We have a global knowledge economy, and the nations that prepare their children well not only will have the best future for those individual children, will have the best economy down the road. So what is the impact of doubling the cost of student loans? Well, certainly for many students, it means that they will not complete their education. They are facing diminished job prospects. They are facing expensive tuition. There's only so many part-time jobs that they can take while still attempting to complete their coursework. And at some point, they say, you know, the burdens is too heavy. The debt burden is too heavy. The hurdles are too high. And then we all lose. Our children lose the opportunity to fulfill their potential, to pursue their dreams, and our economy loses because we are not the best prepared around the world. Indeed, today across America, we are becoming the first generation of parents whose children are getting less education than we got. I would like to see that debated on the floor of the Senate. I'd like to hear a senator stand up and say they are proud of the fact that America is failing its children. I'd like to hear that defended because I certainly have a different view. I have a view that in terms of the opportunity for our children and the success of our economy, we have to address the issue of the affordability of college tuition. Now, the folks who can capture this issue the best are our students themselves. So I've come to the floor to read a letter from one of the students in my home state who is making the case that we should debate this issue, that we should address the affordability of college, and here is what he has to say. Quote, Senator Jeff Merkley, my name is Mario Parker Milligan. I'm the student body president at Lane Community College in Eugene, Oregon. My job as president gives me many opportunities, and that's president of the student body. President gives me opportunities to discuss issues that students find important to them, and I often find myself lobbying or advocating for issues that don't directly affect me. He continues, today is different. Today, I find myself seeing a federal and statewide disinvestment in higher education institutions across the nation and dramatically here in Oregon. At the same time, more and more students are needing need-based aid, while it too is being diminished. Students are graduating from college, but our debt loads are increasing. We are finding fewer jobs upon graduation. With all of these other barriers, low federal and state investment pricing students out of tuition, low financial aid leads to high student debt and few jobs upon graduation. The prospect of having Stafford loans interest rates doubling is a haunting thought. Students are continuing to pay more and get less for our education. Mario continues, today, the average student is graduating with $25,000 of loan debt. I have over $18,000 of loan debt today. An interest rate of 6.8% on top of thousands of dollars we owe in this economy doesn't seem smart either. I'm not close to being done with my education, and am fearful to continue to take out loans when I think of how long it will take to pay it back. Students rely heavily on student loans in order to complete college in a timely manner. Otherwise, many of us are forced to work 2 to 3 jobs while attempting to go to college full-time, which usually results in prolonged stays and more debt. And in his final paragraph, Mario says, as a member of the board of directors for both the Oregon Student Association and the United States Student Association, both associations working to break down barriers to higher education, I hear stories of students that are having to choose whether or not they put food on the table or keep lights on at home. Affordability is a leading barrier to a quality education, and raising interest rates will only continue to price students out of an education. Please vote to maintain the Stafford loan interest rates at 3.4%. Don't double our debt. Sincerely, Mario Parker Milligan of Eugene, Oregon. I think Mario does voice the concern of hundreds of thousands of students across America who are working hard to complete their coursework, to pursue their dream, to gain the skills to provide both a purpose in life, a life mission, if you will, and a stable financial foundation. And the prospect of coming out of college with debts that come close to a mortgage on a home is indeed daunting. I must say I view this through the lens as my own experience as a child of a working family. My father was a millwright and then a mechanic, and no one in my family had ever gone to college. And I was the first. And the prospect of debt was a consideration that worried my family, and with this unfamiliar course, if you will, that I was undertaking. And I feel very fortunate that in the end, the combination of work-study, affordable loans, and scholarship meant that I graduated from my undergraduate education without the heavy debt burden, very modest debt burden, not the heavy debt burden students are bearing today. And that indeed gave me the range of options to pursue in life that I might not have had if I had to immediately find the job that would help me pay back those very high loans that students are facing. And those are the students who complete their education. So many more will find that they only make it partway through because the debt becomes too high. So I'm disturbed, very disturbed, that the Senate body, once known as the world's greatest deliberative body, voted today not to debate this issue, not to take it up. Now, my colleagues may be voicing their concern about specific aspects of the bill. I would say to them, Madam President, that they should come to the floor and offer amendments, and we should debate those amendments. But let's not fail the students of America. I believe that the majority leader has reserved the right for reconsideration, and that in a matter of a few days we might well have another vote on this topic. And I would ask my colleagues to reconsider, to end their filibuster aimed at preventing us from keeping the 3.4% interest on Stafford loans, that they would reconsider and say, yes, there is a responsibility to debate this issue. It shouldn't just be on Stafford loans, in that we also certainly have a big challenge maintaining Pell Grants and keeping those grants competitive with the rising tuition. We should debate other strategies about how to make our investment in higher education more efficient. Maybe all those debates don't have to happen on this bill. Maybe this bill should just be on Stafford, restricted to Stafford loans. But for this body to reject the notion of debating an issue central to the success of our university students, success of our children, and the success of our economy is just wrong. Let's change that vote. Let's get onto this bill in due course, in a short amount of time. Thank you, Madam President.